If you watch this video from start to finish, you could become a top 1% creative strategist by learning how to leverage Claude Cowork. Now, there's a lot of hype on the internet about Anthropic's latest Claude Cowork. It can organize your files, it can browse the internet, go to your competitors' ad library and tell you what their longest running ads are. But unless you learn how to systematically use Cowork for creative strategy, all it's going to be is just a fancy tool. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use Claude Cowork to help you write better ads, help you understand your customers better, and help you sell more stuff. There are 3 stages to this video. First, we'll use Claude to research our market live. We're going to browse real Reddit threads, Amazon reviews, Trustpilot reviews, Facebook group comments to find out the exact language our customers are using. Second, we will train Cowork on creative strategy frameworks, primarily the 5 stages of awareness and market sophistication. Lastly, we'll take all of that research, all of that customer data, and build what I call a creative Bible. It's this one document with 11 sheets. It contains our customers' profile, how aware are they of our product, what angles to hit them with, 100 different hooks written for our specific product, and every reason someone should buy, but also every reason they won't, and how to handle these objections. I'll show you how to turn this entire process into a skill. So you do it once, you teach Claude exactly what you did, and then from that point on, it can run the whole thing autonomously. It's basically a junior creative strategist co-working side by side. If you're new to the channel, my name is Mo Junaid. I'm a lawyer turned creative strategist, and for the last 6 years, I've gone from running my own agency to working as a fractional CMO, currently building HeyEzra.ai. My literal day job involves studying AI and helping brands leverage AI to create better ad creatives. I'm going to have all the timestamps down below. Let's get started. Before you can start using Cowork, you actually need to set it up. If you've already done this, skip ahead. But if you haven't, then what you want to do is head over to claude.com/download and download the Claude desktop app. The reason why you need the app is because Claude Cowork and Code, these 2 features, they aren't available on the browser version. So all you get inside your browser is just the chat feature. And if you want to access Cowork and Code, you need the app. Next, what you need to do is sign up to one of the paid plans. At the current time of recording, you don't get access to Cowork or Code on the free version. You'll need to be either on the Pro or the Max version. I'm currently on the Max version. Download the desktop app, sign up to a paid plan, and then once you've done all of that, you should have this window show up. We're not done yet. There's one last thing that we need to do, and that is you want to head over to the Chrome web store and download Claude in Chrome. I'm using Chrome as my browser, and this is essentially a connector. It gives Claude the ability to browse the internet using Chrome. Now, before we jump into the actual video, I want to quickly talk to you about what connectors are, what skills are, and what plugins are. So skills. Let's think of the analogy of you hiring a junior creative strategist. So say you've hired the strategist and you want them to write ad scripts. So at its base level, you'd give them guidelines saying, hey, every script needs to have a hook, a body, and a CTA. That's the basic guidelines of how to write a script. And then you can take it even further and more in depth by saying, like, these are the mechanisms to write good hooks. The guidelines that you provide to this junior creative strategist is the same as skills for Claude, and you can be as shallow or as in-depth as you want. Next is connectors. So think of the same junior creative strategist. They now know how to write a good script, but if they don't have a pen and paper, what are they going to write it on? So connectors work the same way. They're like the hands of Claude. Using these connectors, Claude's able to leverage different tools to carry out different tasks. Plugins are essentially a package. So say you've got skills and you've got documents and you've packaged them all together, and that package can be shared across multiple systems that you have, or you can share it with clients or friends or whatever. And Cowork runs locally. So even if I'm logged into the same account, if I log in to Claude's app on a different system, on a different Mac, I won't have access to any of these tasks. So plugins are a good way to ensure that you can take your skills and your connectors everywhere that you go. I'm pretty sure there's other ways to use plugins, but that's sort of like a general or generic understanding of how they work. Once you've downloaded the app, you've signed up for a paid plan, you've gone ahead and connected Claude in Chrome, you have now moved on to section 1 of this video, and that is research. So the first thing that we need to do is choose a specific folder for Claude to work in. I'm going to go ahead and call this YouTube research demo, and Claude's going to ask for permission to read and write files inside of that folder. You can either choose allow or always allow. I like to choose always allow because There's been instances where I've chosen allow and I've given Claude a task and I come back thinking, oh, it's completed the task, but then it's stuck on some menial permission that it needs. So I just give Claude access to pretty much everything that it needs access to. Now, why are we choosing to work inside of a folder? Claude works within our system. So if I give Claude access to a folder and I've got a bunch of videos or images, Claude can actually go through those files and give me sort of an understanding of what's going on inside of that folder. But just on a basic level, I choose a specific folder because once we do our research, as you'll see in this video, I want Claude to go ahead and save everything inside of that folder so it's readily available for me to access. So once you've chosen your folder, next you are going to go ahead and download this Creative Bible that we spoke about at the start of this video. Now, what is the Creative Bible? If you've worked with any performance agency or high 6, 7, 8-figure brands that are locked in with the creative strategy, you'll have come across a document of this sort. And this is where your research lives for either the brand or the brand plus a specific product. That research is 80% of the work done. And we are going to use this Creative Bible to conduct that research. So first we're going to understand who our customers are, what stage of the awareness level do they fall under, market sophistication, what other claims has the market heard, different angles to hit our customers with, different messaging strategies. There's so much value inside of just this document in itself. Go ahead and download this. Let's go find that folder and I'm just going to drop that in there. So inside of our folder, I should have the Creative Bible. Inside of Cowork, I'm going to drop in this prompt. And this is essentially my research prompt. It's divided into 4 separate buckets. The first bucket is, how is the brand that I'm going to research positioning themselves? And second, what are their customers saying? Customers on Reddit, on Quora, on YouTube. Right? Third, what is the market saying? What does it look like within the competitive landscape? What other players are playing in this field? And fourth, where are the gaps within our market? For our use case, I want to do some competitive research on ARC-ads who are in the same space as us, HeyEzra.ai. We're in the space of AI UGC and leveraging AI to create winning ads. I'm going to put a big disclaimer out here. This is for educational purposes. This is in no way to defame ARC-ads or put them down. Everything that you see in here is purely for educational purposes. Let's go ahead and drop that. Oh, quickly, I'm using Opus 4.6, which gives me personally the best result, but at the same time, it does use up a lot of tokens or credits. So if you don't want to quickly run out of credits, you can go for Sonnet 4.6 or you can go for HiQ 4.5. These personally for me haven't delivered the best results. I personally like Opus 4.6 and like I mentioned, I'm on the max plan. So, running into limits isn't something that I've faced yet. And I run this thing like a horse. How do you want the final output delivered? I want the final output delivered in a Word document so we can go ahead and share that with our team members. See on the right hand side, it's created this to-do list of all of the things that it's going to do before it comes back. So it will spin out agents for each of these tasks, complete them, and then come back to me. Now in here, if I do want to add anything specific, I can add a question or recommend anything. I can click on this little button that you can see here, click on that, and then inside of my chat, add anything. For me, everything looks fine here. I'm not going to mention or change anything, so I'll just leave it at that. You can see Claude MCP, it's starting to use the Claude in Chrome extension. And for me, as mentioned earlier, allow all browser actions. I don't want to hold back Claude in any way or form. Go ahead and you do your thing, bro. I've got my hands up in the air. It is browsing the internet through my browser. Now, of course, this looks pretty cool. If you aren't able to take all of this information and strategically guide Claude to give you the end outcome that you want, which is creating better ads, writing better scripts, then all of this is just cool stuff. And it captures screenshots. That's how it sort of understands context as to what is happening inside of a browser. This is what Cowork's come back with, ARC-ads Competitive Intelligence, February 2026. Hopefully this opens up. Whilst that's loading up, just to show you, if I click on show in folder, you will see it saved that document already inside of our folder that we chose at the start of this video. Let's quickly take a look at what it's come back with. Again, I will link all of this in the description down below so you can go ahead and take a look at it yourself. In-depth, detailed information about ARC-ads, what their customers are saying, what they like, what they don't like, crazy expensive. Just to plug in Ezra, you don't pay $10 per AI UGC video like ARC-ads. You can actually create AI UGC for less than $5. So if you want to go ahead and check out Hey Ezra, shameless plug, I'm going to link it down below. So these are sort of like the top competitors in this space. Amazing, great, right? Claude can do research, nothing new. Next, what we're going to do is provide the strategic layer to Claude. And my next prompt here is going to be this. So using the research you did on ArcAds, map the potential customers across 5 awareness stages: unaware, problem aware, all the way to most aware. And lastly, what I'm going to do is add this little statement here: they're the competitor to my brand, Hey Ezra.ai. And, you can use this process for competitive research, or you can use this process for internal research as well. If it's for competitive research, obviously you want to mention the fact that, you're doing research on behalf of your brand name. And this is providing sort of this strategic direction to Claude and teaching it how to think and act with the information that it's gathered. So it's going to start building this awareness stage framework, and it's going to map all of this stuff. If you're wondering, why am I not, just asking Claude to fill in this document directly? Well, I've tried that previously, and the response that you get isn't as good as this sort of priming method. What I've realized is, if you prime Claude, if you take it through the step-by-step journey with each step having further sub-steps, it's able to gather better information, better research execution, but it's also able to understand, at least from my experience, a lot more in depth what the end outcome is, which obviously for us, finding the customers to target, writing amazing scripts for them, and also sort of finding gaps in the market, right? That's been my experience. So this is how I like to prime Cowork, and then eventually turn all of this into a skill, which will shortly be coming up by the end of this video. Anyone can get Cowork to research a brand and find all of this information, but knowing what to do with that research is really what separates a real top 1% creative strategist from somebody that goes onto ChatGPT and says, hey ChatGPT, write me a winning script. All right, so it's come back with some crazy pieces of information. It's even pulled up some website from Motion. And it's interesting, right? It's done all of this research, and it's then created this awareness stage document for ArcAds, again, which you should find inside of your folder here. And this isn't just, basic ChatGPT research. You can see it's actually taken the time to understand your customers and understand the market. Even simply sitting down and reading these research papers will put you ahead of a lot of creative strategists out there. But we don't stop here. We want to take it a step further. And my next prompt is, I have a creative Bible in my template folder. Open it. Using the research doc and the strategic assessment, fill in every sheet for Hey Ezra. Drop that in there. And now the fun sort of starts, right? Cowork will go to your folder. I don't know if I can show this to you live, but if I can't, the mechanism is still happening in the back end, right? It's running that command, and it's able to read and write Excel files, which is inside of our folder here. All right, let's close this. This does take a while, so I am going to pause this video and I'll come back. Claude's finally completed the task. Now let's go ahead and actually check this out together. The system is explained step by step here. This in itself is a goldmine, by the way. And what we do further with this information obviously takes it to the next level. If you've been in the trenches with creative strategy, you know how much of a grunt work this is. And the fact that Cowork can just simply complete this for you. I'm going to link this down below. If you're following along, you should have this document completed for yourself. Now, a few things I like to do before I jump onto the next stage, which is turn this entire process into a skill, is I will ask Claude to self-check itself. And my prompt in here is go through the messaging strategies, hooks, and any other items just in general. Self-check if any of it is inaccurate, shallow, or sounds like AI. Personally, I like to do this every time with any document that I create, and you can see on the to-do list here, it's auditing every single sheet. And I love that. I love the fact that you can just do that with AI. And this is a good sort of exercise to do with Cowork, just to make sure that the information that it's come back with is accurate and it's not hallucinating. It's also talking about AI slop language, which is reads like ChatGPT, shots fired at ChatGPT. And the reason why I do this is because each time you ask Cowork to do something, it does that specific task very well. So if I ask it to fill in a document, it does the filling in quite well, but it doesn't actually do the writing that well, if that makes sense. This little self-check prompt really elevates the results that you get back from Cowork. So it's come back with the polished sheet. Now for the sake of this video, I'm not going to go through all of that, but yeah, looks good to me. Now, if imagine you want to do this for another product, for another brand, how would you go ahead and do this entire process again? Well, one, you can do it the old way, prime it and go through the same thing again, or you can just ask Cowork to turn this entire process into a skill, put it in a zipped file called Creative Bible Skill. And I'm also going to share this skill for you to download in the description. I can't say the word description. In a link in the description down below. If you found value so far, and if you've actually stuck along so far and you haven't subscribed to the channel, why? Just subscribe. I'll be sharing more amazing stuff that you can do using AI over the course of this year. It'll be interesting to see how AI also progresses, throughout 2026 and then going into 2027. What will the world look like? Drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'm super curious to know what people think, and what do you think AI is going to do to the world that we live in? Or let's just forget about the world that we live in. Let's just think of like creative strategy and advertising in general. You don't know whether all of this is like an AI bubble, if it's ever going to burst. For me, in my opinion, I feel like yes, there is an element of a bubble, but AI is here to stay. And I personally have adopted and integrated AI so much into my life that if it were to disappear tomorrow, being very honest, I find it a bit hard to adjust or readjust back to the norms prior to AI. Well, Claude has finished creating the skill, and it's also saved the skill inside of this folder here. Obviously, for me to add this skill, all I need to do is copy to your skills, but if you are downloading this from the link down below, all you need to do is click on skills and then click on upload a skill, and then go ahead and drag and drop or just pop that skill in from wherever you've saved it. So click on open. Now upload that skill, and just like that, you have now taught your Cowork to do this exact process of building the Creative Bible. So just to recap, we set up Claude, we then did research on our competitor. We looked at 4 different buckets: internal research in terms of what they are saying, what the customers are saying, what the market is saying, and then any sort of gaps. Then we taught Cowork fundamentals of advertising, such as 5 stages of awareness and market sophistication from Eugene Schwartz's book, Breakthrough Advertising. Then we took all of that research finding and then created the Creative Bible, and eventually turned that entire process into a skill that has now been inserted into my Cowork. The next time I want to recreate a Creative Bible for another product, for another brand, I just need to go in and say, hey, use this specific skill and complete this document. I don't want to go too in-depth into copywriting and script writing, but we can also take this information and write amazing ad scripts, and just give you a glimpse of how I would approach it. But if you do want me to go in depth into my script writing process using Cowork, let me know in the comment section down below. This is my prompt. Give me concepts and angles from the information you have in the Creative Bible. My end goal is to write a high converting script with a killer hook using the rule of 1. I'm going to drop that in there. Now, if you don't know what the rule of 1 is, it's an advertising principle where when you write a script, you want to write it for one person. You don't want to write a script that targets 10 different people, because then it ends up targeting no one, especially in the space of paid socials with Andromeda. If you want your script to perform and to target the right audience, you need to use the rule of 1. That is a very core principle that I have when it comes to writing scripts, and it also is a skill that I can teach Claude Cowork. And then it comes back with all these concepts, and I can choose one of the concepts and the angle, and taking all of that information, I can create an ad script. But that's all for me from today. My name is Junaid, and I'm going to see you guys in the next video.